call the meeting to order. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting held June 10th and June 19th, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. No one has signed up wishing to address the board. That's the good news report. Oh, wait a minute. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now it's the good news report. Deanne.
There we go.
Well, good evening. As you know, research shows quality preschool programming has a significant impact on getting our young students off to a great start on their educational journey. More than 1,000 students participate in preschool and early childhood programs in the Sioux Falls School District thanks to a variety of federal and local funding sources. The early childhood program in Sioux Falls is free for qualified families and is currently seeking eligible children for the coming school year. And so we have Sue Parrott with us, along with Elizabeth J. Hengary. They are leading efforts this year and are here to tell you about some of the additional steps they've been taking to increase awareness about the early childhood programs in the Sioux Falls area. So I'll invite the ladies to come forward.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Again, we just want to raise awareness to our wonderful program, and we are kicking off, well, a year-round actually. We are in our deepest recruiting efforts, but right now we are kicking it off, and we are so excited to discuss some of the wonderful ways that we have been trying to find our youngest learners.
So we are trying something different this school year. We are having open houses. Typically what happens is the families call our screen and evaluation office and set up an appointment. And as we all know, if you have young children, sometimes you forget that you have an appointment. So we're just having a day where you just come. We're having 3 of these days, actually, in different time frames to try to hit families that either work in the evening or work in the morning hours. And we'll be highlighting several of our different schools that you can see on the board there, just to get some new people involved. We had an open house earlier, and we hit about 20 families that we had never had contact with before, so we were very excited about that.
And then another possibility that we are looking into doing is putting a link on our website, just another access point for families to get in touch with somebody within our office or within our early childhood program. Again, they could be, we know families are busy and, all over the place with various types of things going on. So what we want to do is give them as many opportunities as they can to contact us, and then that will allow us the opportunity to reach back out to them and determine the level of need and where they are. What Deanne's
trying to pull the form up.
to show. So it's right on our website, and it outlines, if you're looking for more information, please click on this, and then just 3 simple questions: your name, your phone number, and then your child's age. And then we will contact them ASAP. Hopefully, the goal is to do it within like 48 hours to get right back to families.
Right there.
There it is.
So it's just a link right here that they can get additional information on the early childhood page.
And some advertisement and promotional things that we're very excited about.
We purchased some yard signs like that you would see for sale for your home that advertise early childhood. And we also purchased some of, we call them feather signs. So they're those long, skinny flags that will highlight early childhood that will flutter nicely in the breeze to draw people's attention. And we're also going to have a link on the helpline. So families, if they're looking for preschool for their child or some childcare opportunities, they can reach out that way as well.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank
your
you.
time and the opportunity to share.
Thank you.
For your 3 open houses, it just said you were highlighting those schools, but anybody could come to any of those
Yes.
events. It doesn't, that school doesn't have to be near them to attend?
Right.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. Right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good luck in your recruiting.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we do have some conflicts of interest that were in the agenda. Could I get a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Any discussion? Not all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. A motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Supplemental consent agenda 9A, 1 through 5, claims to Sanford Health.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That carries with 2 abstentions, Board Member Mickelson and Board Member Ryder. 9B, 1 and 2, claims to Avera. Could I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And that motion carries with 1 abstention, Board Member Parker. And we are on to the reports of the superintendent.
Thank you, President Alberti. Our first report tonight will be a report of the Federal Consolidated Application Report, and that comes to us from Curriculum Services. Presenting that tonight is Ann Smith.
Good evening. The Federal Consolidated Application is required by the South Dakota Department of Education so that the district reports what it is we will be doing with the funds that we get through the Every Student Succeeds Act. As you look at the programs that are covered under the Every Student Succeeds Act that we apply through the consolidated application for, we've got Title I for improving basic programs, Title II, which is primarily professional development, ensuring excellent teaching and learning, Title III, support for English language learners, and then Title IV, which is actually a new program under the Every Student Succeeds Act, which is called Student Support in Academic Enrichment. If you look at the overall trend of funding over the last 3 years, you'll see that funding is down slightly this year, about $400,000. This is primarily due to, it's calculated on the poverty level of the Sioux Falls area, which has actually been declining over the last 2 years. We would have seen more of a drop last year, except for the fact that there was a hold harmless for Title I, so it could only go so far down last year, and then we saw a little bit more of a drop this year, again, because of that drop in the poverty level overall in Sioux Falls. Other programs, such as Title IV, have come up a little bit as we've looked at allocating our funds and keeping things in alignment with the priorities in our strategic plan. We've looked at how can we leverage the funds in all of these different programs to achieve the goals of that strategic plan. Title I is the largest program, and it's intended to equalize out opportunities so that students who are in neighborhoods that have the lowest socioeconomic status aren't unfairly at a disadvantage. As you look at the Title I schools in our district, these are the 10 that will be receiving Title I funds. We've kept the same Title I schools, and again, we try to keep that as steady as possible because it's a lot easier to keep the programming impactful if you're doing it over a long period of time. So our Title I funds in those 10 schools will be going for these purposes: class size reduction, SIPs. You heard the report on SIPs. You know, that's a new program that we're seeing good results with. We're channeling some of the federal money in that direction, again, to achieve that more bang for our buck. We have shifted a little bit of the funding that was for preschool into SIPs reading intervention, as well as to help offset some of the decline. You'll see the whole variety of things. Typically, these are the same things we've been doing for several years. Computer science immersion. This will be the third year of the computer science immersion program. The Title I funds will pay for that program at Hayward and Lowell. We're actually going to use Title IIA at Annie Sullivan. Again, it's just how do you keep all of the programs working together. Title I Part C is specifically targeting migrant education, those students whose parents have moved to obtain work that's of a qualifying agricultural nature. School home liaisons are a big part of what we use those Title I Part C for, to make sure that those students, we know that those students are identified and are getting the services that they need. Parent University is something that we have done for several years, which helps the parents understand better what their kids are doing in school, so that then they also can come along and be greater help at home. Title I Part D is specifically for neglected and delinquent students. Those are those students who have come into contact with the juvenile justice system or other characteristics. We can also use it for dropout prevention for students who are at risk. We continue to supply some additional reading instruction at Summit Oaks and VOA, as well as some math instruction at the Juvenile Detention Center, and then the transition coordinator who helps track those students as they move from program and in and out of school. And then a big piece of the funding for Title I Part D is our dropout prevention success coordinators. These are people who are doing check and connect with these students who have come into, again, contact with the juvenile justice system, and we've seen the value of having that position in place. Title IIA, professional development, has funded and continues to fund elementary instructional coaches, as well as the computer science immersion for Annie Sullivan, and then our middle schools, Whittier and McGovern. Also continuing the Boys Town training. And last year was the first year we began funding that teacher pathway and teacher internship program, which is a new program to grow our own future educators. Title III for ELL, continuing on with the education assistance at middle school and high school, and the ELL instructional coach, SIOP training. This is one of the programs that the funding has been declining. It's been a pretty steady downward trend. We continue the same projects, just trying to continue that emphasis for these students who are have some of the greatest needs in terms of educational progress. And then Title IV, which is new under the Every Student Succeeds Act, is transferable. There are three main categories. When I say transferable, we actually can take money from Title IV and put it into Title IIA or Title I. And we did move about $75,000 from Title IV over to Title IIA because we saw more need to maintain the programs there than in these three buckets. The three buckets that you can spend out of, and there are rules about how much percentage you can spend in each of these categories, but the categories are to ensure a well-rounded education. We're also paying for some of the SIPS program with the Title IV funds. And then also have applied to pay for summer school at the Elementary Immersion Center. Through some of the intricacies of how the funds can be allocated, we could no longer do that through Title I, make that work through Title I, so we've moved that into Title IV. And then for AP exam fees, 2 or 3 years ago, the state decreased the amount of funding that they were giving us to help those students who might have some need for the AP exam fees, so we've set aside some of these dollars to help pay for that. Continuing on with improving conditions for learning, we've got the new Eagle Vision program at McGovern Middle School that started last year. We used Title IV funds for that last year, and we'll continue using them again this year. The Joe Foss program counselor, and then middle school success coordinators, again, out of Title IV because the funding is available here. Then finally, enhance the use of technology. Continue with our Tableau system, which Doug and Nicole have done a nice job of putting together some views. This is a system that's helping us, instead of just looking at tables and tables of numbers, how do you visualize that information? How do you put it in a graphical way that makes it, and then how do you do some easy manipulation? So that's becoming more and more powerful as they get those views put together. Continuing on with the learning management system, last year was the first year. This will be our second year with the learning management system, initially to support professional development for teachers, but then we'll be moving into more use with students to personalize learning. And then computer science immersion shows up here again. We'll use some of these technology funds to purchase some of the robotics that are the equipment that are used, that's used in that program. So that is a quick overview of how the $8.5 million will get spent. And I would just ask that the board would acknowledge the report on the consolidated application.
Any questions for Ann on the report? It was a very good report, and I wouldn't be doing my job as an advocate for our most at-risk, most marginalized kids if I didn't say that I'm disappointed that the state has reduced funds to help our district pay for kids who want to take AP exams whose families can't afford it. It's not those kids' fault, and I think that it's disappointing to me that those funds are being reduced and that the federal government doesn't see the huge advantage that kids who live at or below the poverty line, solid K-12 education will impact those kids' lives more than they would have impacted my own kids' lives. My kids were lucky enough to be born into a family where we could afford to give them what they need. And it will continue to be a bone for me to pick that our country doesn't see the huge need, and this isn't your fault, it isn't our school district's fault, but this is one of my big concerns and will continue to be that when I'm no longer on the board. But thank you for the report. Well done. Could I get a motion to acknowledge the report, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Our second report this evening is a report of the English language proficiency update. That report also comes from Curriculum Services and will be delivered by Demi Moon.
Here we go. Give the technologists just a minute to catch up with us. Good evening. As Dr. Maher said, I'm here to give you the update on our English language proficiency WIDA test results. Just as a general reminder, we are one of 40 member states to territories or federal agencies that are members of the WIDA consortium. That consortium allows us resources, but it also allows us to use their access for ELLs as our state assessment. Their goal is to provide advancement in academic language development. It also helps us meet our federal compliance with measures, our federal compliance to measure the language proficiency of our students. The Access for ELs 2.0 is the name of the assessment that WIDA provides to us. It's an assessment that is given to our students annually. It addresses the 4 different language domains of reading, speaking, listening, and writing. We give that assessment to all students in grades K through 12. In grades 1 through 12, it's given online. However, in kindergarten, those students take that as a paper assessment. That testing window happens every year, starting in late January, usually the last Monday in January, and goes through the end of February. When the results come back to us, they come back to us in proficiency levels. A newcomer coming to the country with 0 English comes in at a 1.0, and the maximum score that you can receive on that assessment is a 6.0. We use these scores in the state of South Dakota to determine when students can exit our EL services. Beginning in the fall of 2018, the results of the WIDA became part of our accountability report and our school report card. Prior to this year, the exit criteria for students was a 4.7, and that changed this year to a 5.0. Previous subscore requirements in reading and writing were removed, and now, like I said, that EL student growth is now making up 10% of our student report card and our school performance index. What did we look like in 2018-19 as far as our student count? We had 2,571 students identified as EL that participated in the assessment during that testing window. If anyone moved into the testing window, into our district during the testing window, they also participated in that assessment as well. We had 2,541 regular assessments given, and we had 30 alternate assessments given during that time. Just as a general reminder, students cannot exit the EL program, though, if they take the ALT assessment. So if their academic needs require that they take that assessment, we will continue to serve them despite what their score is. On the last day of school, we had 2,642 students in our district that were identified as EL. So you can see we made some great growth even from the testing period to the end of the school year. And that growth was pretty consistent throughout the school year. You know, we had thought maybe with the caps that were being put on refugees coming into the country and other different border control issues that maybe we would see some decline in our numbers coming in, and that simply has not been the case this year. In your board report, you can see this information given to you in a chart and in a graph. However, I wanted to put it in the presentation today as percentages so that you can see, although in the chart we had some significant number increases in different categories, part of that is due to the number increases overall of total students. We did not have a lot of significant change in percentages, but there were pockets where we had some success, and those percentages of the total grew. Mainly that was in speaking. We spent a lot of time this year really focusing on understanding what it was that we'd have wanted from our students in terms of the speaking assessment. Some people questioned whether or not we were teaching to the test, but we really wanted to understand the test better and understand what we'd expected of our students in terms of academic speak. What we discovered was that our students were speaking, but they weren't speaking in complex discourse, and they weren't using enough complex academic language. And so we really worked hard, K through 12, with all of our teachers, not just our English language teachers, but all general ed teachers as well, on having students speak more academic and in more complex phrases and in sentences throughout their school day, so that when they did get to the assessment, we would have greater results on that. The number of students that exited our program went up this year. We went from 3% of our students exiting last year to about 6.5% of our students exiting the program this year. Our greatest results were seen at the elementary, and we did have significant increase also at the high school level. We really did a lot of work with aligning our programming at the elementary to the English language arts curriculum, and having our EL teachers really provide a companion curriculum with our time with our EL students to that curriculum. So we feel like those two things are working together now instead of separately. And at the high school, we made a lot of programming changes, which we feel are better suited for the needs of our EL students. But we have some work to do at the middle school and getting those same program requirements aligned. And we're anxious and have lots of ideas after seeing the results come in. Our middle school team is ready to attack those concerns and move forward with some better alignment of our curriculum and our programming. One of the other things that they identify when they bring back our data at the end of the year is the number of students who are labeled as long-term ELs, and those would be students that are in our program longer than 5 years. And this year we had 525 students at the end of the year that were labeled as long-term ELs. That means they've been in our program, or in a program, not necessarily our program, but in a program that has been identifiable for more than 5 years. And that graph just kind of shows you the spread on that. This next graph shows you the composite level of our students. This was after they took the WIDA assessment, so you'll see we've got some 6.0s in there. That means those kids were not identified prior to them taking the WIDA, but after they did, we actually had 11 students that scored a perfect 6.0 on the assessment. Those 30 students over off to the side, you'll see those are the alternate students that took, or the students that took the alternate assessment. Are there any questions?
What are some ideas for the middle school that you guys are exploring to improve
We
that?
really are looking at the reading classes that we're teaching our EL students. We already, at Whittier and at McGovern, whereas the majority of our students are located if they're EL at the middle school, and that's where our two newcomer programs are housed. We have reading classes for those students, but we feel like perhaps they're not ready for the curriculum yet because it's more comprehension-based, and we feel like maybe they need some more foundational skills before they're ready for that comprehension piece. And so we're really looking at meeting their needs and making sure that time that we have dedicated to their reading instruction is fitted for what they're ready to learn. And so between that and then working on the comprehension and really getting those kids to be more of a producer of their language. In other words, we want them to write more and we want them to speak more academically. And so working with the teachers in the core areas to help probe some of that production of language out of our students. Really just making sure we do a better job of explaining to all teachers what it is those kids need to be doing in order to gain that language proficiency and not just working with the EL staff.
I just wanted to clarify, so for kindergarten through fifth grade, we went from 57 students to 125 that were proficient, correct?
That exited,
And
yes.
that's the same year that we had the minimum raised from 4.7 to 5, is that correct? So that's awesome. I mean, if I'm lining the timeframes up, so the standard actually went up for what we would consider to be proficient, but we had a higher number of students that met it.
Right.
So
Right.
that's, I mean.
Yeah,
that's
we did make some significant progress this year.
That's an encouraging indicator to show, and I think we all know that the younger the kid is, the easier it is for them to pick up that language, but I still think that that's an amazing improvement, even with like the raising of the bar to say, what does that mean? So kudos to you guys. My question would be for the 525 long-term students, have we done any sort of analysis to say, is there a specific language that maybe we're seeing in common? Like, I'm thinking about languages that maybe use other characters than what we use in the English language. Like, is there things like that where they're just having a harder time transitioning, or have we not been able to really identify some sort of a trend or a characteristic that this group of students has that maybe keeps them in the program longer than others?
We are looking at some of those statistics, and I know that we've kind of had a busy June with the middle school admin team and the middle school ELO. We're doing summer school right now, so now that that's behind us, we do have some plans to meet the middle school teams, the EL teachers and the admin team, and kind of dissect that data a little bit. But I would also add in that in order to be a long-term EL, you have got to be at least grade 6 in order to have been longer than 5 years. Well, yeah, because your kindergarten year is your base year, so moving forward. And the test increases in difficulty significantly at the middle school level. And so we know that our best chance to get kids to proficiency and actually allow them to exit is to do that by the end of 5th grade. So we work really hard with our elementary kids that are close to making sure that we give them every possibility we can. The curricular level of the content, the rigor level of the content jumps quite a bit from that tier from 5th grade, from the end of 5th grade to the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade assessments. So we're really working hard at, now that we've kind of got a little bit better handle on the speaking, digging in a little bit deeper to what do those tiered tests look like at the middle school and the high school, and where are we not meeting their needs. It's not that you can really teach to the test because it's purely random what you get for academic topics, but we need to understand what it is that our kids aren't doing that WIDA wants them to do. We learned a lot at the WIDA conference last year because the people who write the test were at the conference speaking and did like long-term breakout sessions with teachers. And so we focused on speaking, but now we're ready to dive into, all of those different areas.
So those 525 students really are in that 6th through 12th grade then,
Yes.
obviously, because they have to have had that 5 years. Okay. Interesting.
Yep. And that's if they came by kindergarten. If they started with us as a 2nd grader, they don't hit that long-term status till high school. And so it's just really diving in and disaggregating that data a little bit.
I would just be curious if there are any of those commonalities.
The oral languages are usually, the harder ones, and that's usually what we see. But there's so many other factors that weigh in on that too. The trauma that those students bring with them, just a lot of their underlying issues that they face, the poverty level that also exists sometimes, and the attendance and their commitment to, and their family's ability to get them to school. So it's just a lot of different factors we have to play into that. But we definitely, I want you to know we are definitely looking at that and figuring out how we can address that, because we do want all of our students to reach that language proficiency as soon as they can. The sooner they do, the more successful they are in all of their core academic areas.
Thank you.
Absolutely. If there are not any other questions, I would just recommend acknowledging the update on our ELL results.
Could I get a motion to acknowledge the report, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? Not. Thank you, Demi.
Thank you.
Good report. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you. And the public hearing on the course waiver for equivalency exam. Has everybody had a chance to look at that? Okay. We will open the public hearing, or do we need the report first?
I don't believe there's anyone that wanted to address that tonight, so,
There was no public here, so
okay. So, if it's all right with you, I will just give you a brief overview of the
report
waivers for
first.
tonight.
Okay.
So the first waiver is a course equivalency exam waiver for personal finance. This is a renewal of this waiver. So for a high school student who feels he or she is prepared well enough in the knowledge of personal finance, that child with parents' permission can apply to take the personal finance exam. And if that student scores 85% or higher, then the state would waive the seat time for that course, and the student could earn the credit for personal finance. And so we're asking to renew that 5-year waiver.
Yep.
And the second waiver is in regards to credit before 9th grade for biology, Spanish 1, and Spanish 2. Always in our district, we want to encourage students to enroll in classes that challenge them academically. And so for a limited number of students who have the academic ability to enroll in Spanish 1 or 2 or biology before grade 9, complete the courses and the district exams, those students would then be eligible if they choose to have those courses recorded as high school credit. And so we're asking for that waiver from the state as well. So I'll stand by for any questions and then ask if the board approve these waivers.
Any questions? If not, could I get a motion to approve the waivers, please? We still have to ask for public comment. Anybody here wishing to give public comment? So we'll open the public hearing portion. Seeing no rush to the microphone, we'll close that. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. And motion for adjournment.
No?
Oh, no.
Not quite.
I gotta stand up for this?
You're the president. You're the president. You're the president.
Okay.
You know, there's been times you and I haven't seen eye to eye, but I know always,
I recall.
you always have the kids, the staff, and the parents' heart in the right place. Your heart's been in the right place. You've been looking out for their interest. Lord, you're going to start with the ball. So, Mr. Alberti, whereas Kent S. Alberti has served the Sioux Falls School District 49-5 for the past 12 years since July 2007 as a valued board member, its vice president and president. And whereas Mr. Alberti has during these 12 months ably served as a board representative to the following committees: Budget Review Committee, PATH Committee, Southeast Technical Institute Council, Chambers Business and Education Networking Committee, District Insurance Committee, Sioux Falls Education Foundation, Safe and Secure Schools, Teacher of the Year Committee, Chamber of the Commerce, as well as contributing member of the city, county, schools, meetings, legislative liaison, and on the negotiating team for the board. And whereas Kent provided leadership and significant guidance to the district's long-range financial planning, the 5-year budget plan, and was very instrumental in passing the historic $190 million capital improvement bond while maintaining a high sense of fiscal responsibility and advocating strong, innovative academic programs. And whereas during its tenure on the school board, the school district moved forward with construction of Career and Technical Education Academy, George McGovern Middle School, R.F. Pettigrew Elementary School, Susan B. Anthony Elementary School, Sonia Sotomayor Elementary School, the new field house at Howard Wood, the new hub building on the campus of Southeast Tech, as well as beginning construction of Thomas Jefferson High School and the Ben Rifle Middle School, which we threw some dirt the other day.
Yes, we did. And not on each other.
Thank you. And whereas Mr. Alberti encouraged a commitment to understanding and valuing diversity, as well as the importance of providing multiple pathways for student success, while always advocating especially for children with special needs. And whereas Kent's commitment to excellence in education has enhanced opportunities for countless children, and his commitment to increasing involvement of citizens in the decision-making process regarding educational programs and contributed to the overall improvement of the district's instructional program. And whereas Mr. Alberti has ably served in these capacities, considerable personal sacrifice, and with outstanding dedication to placing children first. All his decisions, whether considering budgets, boundaries, busing, calendars, curriculum, or policies. And whereas we, the school board, wish to express deep appreciation and thanks. It's almost there. To Ken Alberti on behalf of the members of the school board, the administration, and the entire school district. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting of the school board of the Sioux Falls School District 49-5, held Monday, June 24th, 2019, and a copy of this resolution given to Kent Alberti.
I second Todd's motion.
Those doggone allergies.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify.
There's some discussion, maybe?
Sorry.
Point of order?
Point of order. Yes. Oh, discussion. Okay.
Well, Kent, I would just like to say it has been my honor to work with you for these past 10 years that I've been on the board with you. I've learned a lot from you and am a better board member for it. We think a lot on many issues, but when we disagree, we've respected each other's opinions. And I've learned from you that that's an okay thing. So for all of that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm the newest member, and I just appreciate how much you've helped me grow as a board member and how much I've learned from you. And you've always been available to me if I had questions or needing help and guidance as being the newest board member. And I look forward to still reaching out to you with your knowledge even after you've left the board, because you have so much experience on this school board, and you've brought so much to the school board, and we hope to continue the tradition of excellence that you've maintained on the school board. So thank you, Kent.
Kent was the person who I think unofficially reached out to me to say, have you ever thought about being on the school board 6 years ago? And I remember meeting at your office and kind of asking you, picking your brain and asking you questions, and how do you even campaign? Like, that's a totally foreign concept to me, and I've never regretted that conversation, so thank you very much. I think we've had many good conversations along the way, and I've learned many things from you, both things to do and not to do. So I appreciate those things as well, but I appreciate your mentorship over the last 6 years and for encouraging me to take the step and join the board, and it's been a very rewarding and fun experience of learning from you. And I agree with Cynthia. I'm sure you will hear from all of us again. Hey, remember that one thing?
Yeah.
Can you give us a little historical perspective on that? So thank you for your help so far, and thank you for continuing to be available to us.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. You started.
I can't look at you.
Other than my family, some of whom are here, this will be the most important work that I've gotten to participate in. My wife, Luann, has given up a lot of time spent with me. I don't know whether that's good or bad for her, but I made a commitment when I did this 12 years ago. In 12 years, I've missed 2 school board meetings is all, and both of those were missed because of other school board related meetings that I needed to attend. And I'm not necessarily going to look forward to having every other Monday night free, but that will free up my schedule. Please continue to take care of our most marginalized students and our kids in special ed. That's the only thing that I will ask. And thank you. All right, we have motion and second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that carries 4-1 with 1 abstention. Myself. Any other business to come before the board? I do have just one other quick thing. We have 2 of our school board employees, or school district employees, pardon me, who will be leaving at the end of this week, Michael Christofferson and Kate Bartel Nowak. And I just want to say one more time how much I've appreciated what both of them have brought to this school district. We have benefited in ways that most of us don't know, thanks to the hard work of both of these individuals, and good luck in future. So thank you. Any other business to come before the board? If not, could I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.